Yeah, I copy and pasted the Zoom call onto Streamlabs. That's how it works. All right. Come on. Just waiting for this to kick in. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen of NerdCage Nation. We got John Turk in the house. Let me do a countdown in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Fatality.
Get over here! Hi, I'm martial art master Daniel Pacino. You know me as the original Johnny Cage, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Reptile, and Smoke. You are tuning in to NerdCage Live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Don't miss an episode or you'll get caged. So let's finish him.
This is Anthony Marquez, better known as Kung Lao for Mortal Kombat. Make sure to like and subscribe to NerdCage Live. Be there. Us.
Hey everybody, this is Dave Niebuhr from Dog Eat Dog, and you're watching NerdCage Live. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel. These are great guys doing what they love to do.
NerdCage Live and gaming are a perfect match.
Shoot the J, Joe.
Okay.
Shoot it!
All right.
Over on NerdCage Live on Twitch, Jay and Joe go live.
Call me Bazooka Joe.
It's all about you.
Kaboom!
Playing both old school and new school games every Tuesday night. Ooh, what a sight!
Jay, stop looking at her face and run.
But she's so beautiful.
So be sure to follow NerdCage Live on Twitch.
Run for your life, Joe. Run for your life, Joe.
Running.
Run faster. Oh no, Joe. The galaxy's doomed because of you.
To scratch your gaming itch.
Oh, nice kick, Joe.
Thank you.
Yo, that's diabolical. Wait. Yo!
That's twitch.tv/NerdCage Live.
Hi, I'm Leah Montalongo, the OG Sindel. Please like, subscribe to NerdCage Live.
This is Ernie C. from Body Count. You're tuned in to NerdCage. Can you like and subscribe?
Hey guys, it's the original Shao Kahn, Brian Glenn, and I'd like you to subscribe to NerdCage Live.
It has begun.
If what you say is true, the Shaolin
And the NerdCage.
could be dangerous.
Greetings, citizens. You're now trapped in a NerdCage. We hope you have a smashing good time.
Ladies and gentlemen of NerdCage Nation, before we get started, unfortunately, we lost a legend in the film industry. Mr. Carl Weathers passed away peacefully in his sleep. As everybody knows, I'm a diehard Rocky fan, And we're gonna miss you, Apollo. You were the best. That being said, you're now about to witness the strength of geek knowledge. Hello, welcome. That is right. You are trapped in Season 5 of NerdCage Live. This channel is a celebration of all things pop culture, including Mortal Kombat. If you are new to the channel, please hit that like button and subscribe and share with everybody you know. Helps us more than you know. And of course, I'm your co-host, Jay St. G, certified geek, 7 days a week, coming to you live from yours truly, the land of the orange, the land of Tom Cruise, the land of Anthrax, the land of Earth Crisis of Syracuse, New York. And our moderator and troll hammer, Joe of FallenOne Gaming, couldn't make it tonight. He's out saving the world. However, it is my honor to introduce our special guest, Mr. John Turk of Fearless Fitness. How are you, sir?
Good, real good. Good to see you.
Excellent. Once again, we appreciate you being here, and of course, everybody in the chat, we'll try to field questions as we go. But for starters, Mr. Turk, I just mentioned, obviously, unfortunately, Carl Weathers passed away last week. I had a question for you. Was he ever an influence on you at all as like a bodybuilder and an actor, or were you a Rocky fan or a fan of Carl Weathers' work?
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because honestly, the Rocky movie, that very first one, is what got me into working out and all my kind of like combat sports. Because I remember I think I was like 14 years old when that first came out. And I remember my friends and I were so amped up over that when we left the theater. We were all walking back home, and I said, we're going to work out tomorrow, And everybody's like, yeah, we're going to get up at 5 in the morning. So I got up at 5 in the morning. I guzzled 6 raw eggs, pretty nasty. And I went and knocked on all my buddies' windows. None of them were up. They were all sleeping. I was the only one who got up and did a workout. So I went running. I did the whole thing that, he did in the beginning. I got the cramp in my side, and I started thinking I was, the next Rocky. But it was fun. It actually, Carl Weathers definitely had an impact on me. He was a great actor. He was a great guy. I never met him. I don't know him, but from everything I've heard, he's just a real stand-up guy and did a phenomenal job in Rocky. He's just a specimen of a human being, and just really sad to see that his passing. But Stallone influenced me too a lot. Everybody loves an underdog, and it was a real good underdog movie. But it really had a big influence on me.
Yeah, no, the first Rocky's my all-time favorite movie of all time, and I just, just the sight of Apollo Creed was always a sight to behold, because Carl Weathers really sold the fact that he was the heavyweight champion of the world, just like Ali was, and he really really took that that Ali persona and he made it his own and made it work. And
Right.
Just last night, I showed my girlfriend Action Jackson, and the night before we watched Predator.
Yeah.
So he's got a whole body of work, and it's just, he's definitely going to be
he
missed.
sure does. He was an awesome guy. Very, very good actor, too.
Yes. Also, I see we got some folks in the chat here. I see Joe of FallenOne Gaming's in the chat, even though he's supposed to be working right now. I see Doomzilla. I see Choose Your Destiny MK. Thank you very much for being here, everybody. Okay, so I guess we can get right into it. I mean, you mentioned working out and acting. So what you already established what got you to start working out, but what got you into acting and what got you into martial arts before we get to the Mortal Kombat stuff?
Well, when I was growing up, there really wasn't many boxing gyms in where I was at. I was in a suburb just outside the city. And one day a martial arts school came to our high school. I believe it was actually our junior high, and did a martial arts demonstration. And I was really intrigued by it. My father was a black belt in Aikido and Judo, so he was already into it. And I was wrestling at the time. And so I just always kind of liked combat sports. And so I just decided, hey, I'm gonna get involved in this martial arts stuff. And I did, and I loved it. I liked it a lot. I ended up doing a lot of tournament fighting. Some of them were kind of crazy. You could kick in the groin. I mean, it was like really crazy stuff at that time. Yeah, you could. And at the time, I adopted a style of a fighter named Bill Wallace. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he was real popular back in the 70s, along with Chuck Norris, obviously, and those two were my favorite. But Bill Wallace would hold his leg up and just fight everybody with his leg in the air. It was super fast. They timed his kick at like 90 miles an hour, super fast dude. But that's what I did. And when I went into this groin kick tournament, I just got destroyed because I would hold my leg up and I just, let's just say Jim and the twins got pelted left and right. And I couldn't go on much longer. So, but I really enjoyed it. It really got me into the sport. I ended up getting, I was in Taekwondo. I got a black belt in it. And I was pretty athletic as far as I could do flips and all kinds of stuff. And so I just loved it. And then I got a really bad knee injury, but I recovered from that. I had surgery. And then I became a policeman, and then Mortal Kombat came along. Everyone just kept telling me to get into acting, and I just had really no interest in it. So one day I called up an agent, and she said, you know what, I'll send you on this audition. It just kind of was fate because my first audition she sent me on was for Mortal Kombat. So I just thought it was kind of ironic, and I walked in, and I had to do like a interactive audition for John Tobias and Ed Boon and another guy by the name, I think it was Josh Sue. And it just went really good. And they ended up casting me, and then filming went well. And then they decided they were having some issues with one of the other actors. And I just kind of fit into all the other roles that he was doing at one point. And so I just became the new guy for all the other characters. And I think obviously they had a certain look they were going for. I have a big square head, so it maybe fit the part. And
I was going to say, you definitely got that Superman jawline.
Yeah. And
that's
so
a compliment.
Thanks, man. And I think I had a muscular build and pretty flexible. So it just all kind of rolled together, and that's how that all came about. But yeah, martial arts has always been a big love of mine. I'm still really flexible. Like, I got a really bad knee. I had another really bad injury to it. So I can't do a lot of kicking with my legs. I still do, hit the bag a lot. But as far as kicking, there's not much I can do with it. It's just pretty beat up. But I'm hoping sooner or later the stem cells will catch up and I'll be able to, get some kind of a kicking routine started again. But for right now, it's not going to happen.
Okay. So you mentioned you got the call for Mortal Kombat. So when you first got the call for Mortal Kombat, were you like a fan of the first two games, or was that like a whole new thing into you, or?
Yeah, I knew nothing of the game. I just, he told me, and he said, this game's really popular, and I go, oh, okay. And obviously back in the early 90s, there was no internet, so I couldn't really look it up and find it. I would have to go to an arcade, and I've mentioned this story before, but I went into an arcade and I saw somebody playing my character when it first came out, and I was kind of shocked. It was like everyone in the whole entire arcade was around this game, Mortal Kombat, and I just walked in, and I just realized at that point, wow, this must be a real popular game. Nice. So when I told one of my relatives, he goes, dude, man, I love that game. I can't believe you're going to be in that game. So it just I got really excited about doing it, and then they had me back for more characters, more other games, and then they did The Adventures of Sub-Zero Mythologies, and Mythologies was just a hard game to play. That's why I don't think it did real well. You couldn't hardly get past any levels on there, So I think a lot of people were kind of discouraged with it, but it was a really fun game to do when I did Mythologies, and that's what really got me into acting. Was in the interim when we were between sequences, we would have, like, say for example, if you got to a certain level, I'm sure you're familiar with Mythologies, but there were like little acting scenes in there. And that's when I kind of got bit by the acting bug, and I started to pursue that more heavily. And I just kind of took off from there and got a lot of parts in, TV shows, movies, things like that. Nothing. I had one major role in a film a couple of years ago called Wolfhound. I was one of the main bad guys in it, but most of the roles I've had are speaking, but they're smaller roles, Like Dark Knight, I had a speaking role. It was cut out, but I was in there still. Transformers, I had a speaking part in there. So they're a lot of these movies I did were speaking roles, but I think I just have a very kind of distinct look. I'm really good for only certain roles. A lot of people don't see me for many other things. I think just because of my build and my look, So I can't fit in as, the young dad or, the average everyday guy. People just see me as like, I'm either a Secret Service guy, a mafia guy, or I'm, just a bully that's going to beat you up, So that's kind of the way it is, and I've accepted it, and that's what I get work as. So I'm happy with it. But yeah, so that's how that all started.
All right, now I want to go back to Mortal Kombat 3 for just a second, because I'm definitely curious. So, Master Daniel Pesina is a dear friend of the show. He was the first to portray Sub-Zero in the game, but his fighting style is more of the Wing Chun style of martial arts. So you mentioned you do Taekwondo and whatnot. So when you first portrayed Sub-Zero, well, I want to focus on Sub-Zero. Did they ask you to do a certain type of martial arts, certain type of moveset, or they want you to kind of do it your own moveset? Like how did that come? Because I know your fighting style is completely different from Master Pesina's style.
Right. So Taekwondo style is very kind of, I want to say, very flashy. It's a lot of really high kicks. You get a lot of high crescent kicks, whipping kicks, spinning back kicks, and really, high round kicks. It's pretty much 70% kicks. So when I would do my kicks, you could just definitely see the difference between him and I. Mine are more, very looping, very high, very fluid. Whereas the Wing Chun style, everything's kind of hands and feet together. Everything's kind of flowing. Whereas Taekwondo, it's a kick, a looping punch. It's definitely different. So the fact you noticed that was a good eye. But we're just two different styles, and he's that style. I was a Taekwondo. It all depends what you like. Some people like the Wing Chun. Some people like the Taekwondo. I think for me in tournament fighting, I picked Taekwondo because most of the people that got involved in that style of fighting were Taekwondo. And you had a few guys that were Kempo, some were karate, which is just a general term for martial arts, basically. But Taekwondo is known for a lot of the tournament style fighting. So if you see a guy in full contact fighting, just karate, most of them are going to be Taekwondo. But when you get into mixed martial arts, a lot of those guys, they're not going to be Wing Chun or Taekwondo because you leave yourself too open with that. So you're going to have those styles where they're just basically like grinders. Judo does really good. Aikido does really good. Just like the wrestlers are very dominant in MMA. So when you look at a street fight, for me, if I ever get in a street fight, I'm not going to do any of those big looping kicks. They're only good if you have an opponent dazed, like a fatality, finish him. I'm going to do a big round looping kick. But for the most part, a Taekwondo fighter is just everything's low, front kicks to the stomach. We don't do many leg kicks, That's the thing with a really good style for fighting is Muay Thai. Muay Thai is just real close quarters, elbows, knees, banging the shins, and that's what really works well in a street fight. But for me, Taekwondo, I'm going to mostly keep you away with low kicks and box you, whereas opposed to a Muay Thai fighter will get you in the clinch, knee you, elbow you. So there's just so many different styles of martial arts. And I think with me, when I did Sub-Zero, I just kind of, in my vision of it, I wanted him to be more flashy. I noticed a lot of Dan's kicks are kind of waist height. Not many of them really go that high. There's not many spinning kicks or looping kicks. So I kind of wanted to, when I watched what he had done, I kind of added my own little flair with more looping kicks. So when I got on set, they have a certain number of kicks they want you to do, a certain number of moves. But every now and then they would say, hey, can you do this kick? And I would say, yeah, I can do that, but how if I do it this way? And they would like it better or worse, The thing is with filming Mortal Kombat that was different, or, just different from the way I was. In a tournament fighting, everything's about speed and power. But in the video game, it's not. You can't go fast. Everything's got to go slower because it was motion. That wasn't motion capture. It was video capture. Yeah. So they had to videotape us and really get the full kick in there, because if you go full speed, it might transfer weird onto the video, which they digitize into the game. Yeah. So a lot of the kicks, and the reason I think a lot of the other actors might not have been able to do it was I can literally kick at that point and hold my leg up and move slow with it. I had the flexibility, the strength to do that just because of the style I was in. So it really transferred really well into filming. So when I would do a round kick, I could just take my leg and loop it up nice and slow and loop it around for the camera. Whereas opposed if I just threw it out there real fast, you'd be like, whoa, we didn't even get that, you know? So you'll see the video game, they speed it up to make it look good. But if you watch the actual filming, you'll see that we're moving pretty slow in there. And that's because of the way the video is digitized and then transported into the game. So I just think that adding my little touch to it with slower, higher kicks made it look a little different from when Dan was doing it. So, I mean, he did a good job too. So I think the whole thing, it was just a good contrast from the way he did it and the way I did it. So, and then I ended up doing the other Sub-Zero and Scorpion too. So it was kind of weird, you know, you see Dan's style and then you see my style in the Scorpion version. And
I know. Yeah, Scorpion's got a combo where it's like all kicks. You know, he does like a 5 or 6 hit combo, just all, you know, just high kicks, back to back.
Yeah.
Actually, I just want to segue real quick. What were some of your favorite, not just like martial arts moves? What were some of your favorite special moves with both Sub-Zero? Starting with MK3 with Sub-Zero and Shang Tsung. What were your like favorite moves that were that you got to perform, and what was your reaction when you first saw them on the game?
I think I really like spinning back kicks, you know, or spinning what I call a spinning hook kick. And the way that transformed onto the game, I wasn't sure because of the way I had to kick it. But I think that ended up being my favorite move when I would do a 1-2 with a spinning hook kick. I like that a lot because it just transfers really well on camera. And then there was another one that it would be 1-2 with a spinning hook kick with come back with a spinning round kick. So those are all really cool stuff to do. I really enjoy the high looping kicks. So I just the way I was trained, and it kind of just transfers really well for me. I like to punch too, you know, like some of the punches are real cool, like the uppercuts when you really hit a character and he goes flying through the air with a really good uppercut. So yeah, those are all good too. I think the spinning hook kick and the uppercuts were always my favorite to do.
Do you have a favorite fatality for Sub-Zero and Shang Tsung?
Yeah, I kind of liked pulling the skeleton out of the guy and ripping his whole body out of his skin. When they first showed me that, and they're like, go like this, you know, and I'm pretending I'm grabbing something. I go, what are you going to do with that? He goes, I'll show you. And then we went back and he showed me one of the other games. I'm like, holy cow, that's crazy, dude.
I think my favorite one that you did is with the unmasked Sub-Zero, where you lift the body above your head, freeze it, and then smash over your shoulders. I love that one.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It's funny, though, when I was doing all those moves, you don't have anything in your hand. It's a green screen. And so you're like, you don't even know what you're doing, you know? And he's like, you got to do this. And then they'll tell you, you know, pretend like you're breaking something over your head, you know, and then you do it. And it just, when you see it done on camera and they put the green screen, you can add any background you want, which was bizarre to me because and I think it was Mythologies, when I'm walking upstairs, I'm walking up these like stairs and I get to the top of this like mountain, I'm looking into a cauldron, and it was really on like a little, 5-foot set of steps looking down at a concrete ground. But when you see it on the screen, it looks like I'm staring into this abyss of, darkness and bubbling lava and all this other stuff. But yeah, the green screen is pretty amazing, especially with the CGI now. That's the one thing I don't like now about a lot of the games. It's all CGI. It just doesn't seem real.
I feel the same way. I prefer the digitized actors. That was the arcade era of Mortal Kombat was my favorite. Now, another question. Going between Mortal Kombat 3 and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, I mean, that was a fast turnaround. I believe Mortal Kombat 3 came out in April of '95 in the arcade. Ultimate came out, I believe, November. So when did you get the call to play the additional characters for Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3? So Scorpion, the Mass Sub-Zero, Ermac, Noom Saibot, Rain, all those characters. So how did that all come to be?
Yeah, I think what happened was, I believe in Mortal Kombat 3, they didn't have Scorpion in it, and it pissed a lot of people off. Yeah. So I think what they did is they looped me back around real quick, and we did a Scorpion for Ultimate, and I added in a few of the other characters. But I think the main thing is the absence of Scorpion, because Scorpion hugely popular, you know. I mean, even I think Ed Boon's favorite character is Scorpion, which I was shocked that they would leave him out since Ed likes him so much, you know. But yeah, I mean, I think that was it was a quick turnaround, and a few of the characters. And realize too, a lot of it, all they would do with my costume, like for some of those other ones, it would just change from like a different color, and I wore this red one, and it would translate easier to change the color, even though I wouldn't have to go change. Where they would just do it inside the digitizing. They were able to manipulate the colors and texture of my outfit. The one that was a real pain in the rear, so to speak, was the Shang Tsung costume. One was
you had the wig and
just everything, and I had that thing running up my rear end. It just wasn't comfortable. The whole thing just was weird, a weird costume and flipping around. And the Sub-Zero outfit was like solid plastic. It really wasn't even. I couldn't move real well in it because if I spun.
You're talking about the unmasked costume, right?
Yeah, because it was just two plastic strips over me, and every time I would move, it was so stiff, it would just go bump, and it would pop off my shoulder. So that slowed me down even more. I couldn't move too fast. I couldn't lift my leg too high because when I lifted my leg too high, it would buckle and come off. So it was a lot of challenges shooting with that costume on. And I remember I just had a costume made for a lot of the trade shows, and I specifically had like similar to what you're wearing, except it was a softer foam and it was tighter, so it doesn't move at all, and it's really comfortable to wear. I'm like, man, I wish I would have had this when I did the game, you know. But
now, so you portrayed the most characters in Mortal Kombat history. So my another question is, with all these assignments you had to do, especially more, I'm leaning more towards the Ultimate, where you had to do Scorpion or Ermac, Reptile. Was it difficult to like transition between each character and do different movesets, different combos, different special moves, different fatalities? Was it difficult to like, or did they tell you what to do, or did you come up with them? Like, how did that all come to be? Like, how did you kind of like switch between characters?
Well, I think everybody adds their own little flair to it, you know, so we're all like contributing. But, you know, John and Ed and the rest of the staff pretty much had 98% of everything they wanted to do. And, you know, I think as actors, we probably added 2% to it, you know, like, hey, how about if we did it this way? Or how about if we did this kick, you know? So they gave us the ability to be creative ourselves, and then they would have the final say in whether that would work or not. So when I did all the other characters, the thing about the main difference with a lot of those characters was the stance at the beginning and how the move originated from the stance that I was in. So like when I did, you know, when I'm doing Shang Tsung, I'm doing this, right? So I had to figure out the way in which I would kick or move from that stance. So that's the main thing. If you look at the characters, it's how I transitioned from the stance to the move. And that was the hardest part, because you got to realize, you know, in martial arts, you basically have a stance like, you know, you're like this, you know, you got this front arm is down or out. But when they start getting you in these weird stances you would never do, or, you know, you're like this, I was just a straightforward, you know, pretty much kickboxer. And I had to transition into these weird stances to throw all these dynamic kicks. And, you know, they even brought in like a treadmill to do our runs. They had like this mat on the floor. So it was real easy for me to flip. So we would do flips. So everything would sometimes originate out of that main stance that you were in. So that was I think the hardest part of it. But a lot of the kicks really, if you look at most of the characters, they're kind of the same. Yeah. And they're just built off the original stance that the character's in. And also how you ended it. Like Sub-Zero unmasked, I would hold my arm up like this. So each character had a very distinct beginning and end. And everything else in between was mishmashed. And it was all like how you ended it and how you started it. So it wasn't really that hard. It was just getting started and making the kick or the punch look like it was natural from your ready stance. So that was the main difference in a lot of the characters that I did, was getting used to the main ready stance and how to fire my kick or my punch from there. Okay. You know, because if I'm like this, it's good. Yeah. How I is going to look stupid if it doesn't coordinate with my hands right? Just like if you're running, you got to have one arm up and the opposite leg up at the same time. It's the same thing with kicking, right? Or punching. They all flow together. So it's finding that flow that is the main difference.
Now, were there any moves and like special moves from what you can recall that didn't make it to the game, or they just didn't have time to do, or is that, I don't know if you can remember, recollect at all?
Yeah, by the time I did it, this was already the third game, and I think I was probably one of the last guys to get filmed. So they already had a lot of experience working with all the other people and in the first two games. So there really wasn't much that I added to it per se. But as time went on, I think I just really kind of changed a few kicks and made them look a little different. One of the kicks I thought would have looked cool would have been a reverse crescent kick, but it just didn't film right because of the way that
because if your legs coming that way, it can't.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not enough. They can't change the angle. There's only one angle. So
right. So some of my kicks that are really flared, very pretty kicks, so to speak, I couldn't do like a reverse crescent kick or a spinning crescent kick, which is what Chuck Norris was really known for. He would take his arms and whip them, and he would fling his leg across. It just didn't translate well onto camera, so they just decided not to do that. So you had to stick with certain kicks that, and it wasn't 3D. Realize it was still 2D. Yeah. So it doesn't translate like a 3D image kick would. So yeah, that was the main thing. So by the time I had done the game, they pretty much had everything down that they needed to do that would fit with the 2D image.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they were really good to work with, man. John and Ed.
That was my next question. What was it like to work with Ed Boon and John Tobias?
It was great, man. I really, really enjoyed it. John's a fantastic, animator and artist, and Ed is just, the computer guy and just knows how to get things working and flowing. And the two of them together was just a really good pairing, and really just also good to work with. Very professional, very cordial, fun. We would have lunch and go out and, while we're shooting. And, there were some really long days, sometimes 12, 13 hours. And I'm just, kicking over and over and punching. And I would go home some days and it was like I just had a tournament fight. I could just feel every muscle and every, joint in my body was just exhausted. And, But it was a lot of fun to do. And at the time, after I did Mortal Kombat 3, I was really excited to do the next ones because the game was so popular. At first, for me, it was just an acting job, and I was going to get paid, right? Yeah. And it was martial arts, and I love martial arts, and I was actually really good at it at the time, and so it was fun to do. But when I did the consecutive games after that, it became a lot of fun just to be involved with the franchise and the whole crew. And I still stay in touch with a lot of the guys. Like Brian Glenn and I are good friends.
Yep, he was on our show. He mentioned you. Yep.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And so Kerry as well, Kerry Hoskins and Leah. And I talk to John once in a while to buy. He lives in San Diego, actually, where I live.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a really good group of guys to be involved with. So I was really, really blessed and lucky to have that. So
now, did you keep any of the costumes at all, or no?
I did, but you know what? I had Sub-Zero, and that one I gave away, and then I had Scorpion. But the Scorpion costume was pretty chintzy. It was all ripped up, and I just didn't even think anybody would want it. So I just kind of kicked myself. Now I should have given it to somebody.
Kill to get those hands.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was nylon and thin, and it had rips all over the pants, and the shoes were all ripped up from all the kicking and punching and twisting on the ground. So I just thought, at the time, I just wasn't thinking. I'm like, nobody's going to want this thing. And I just chucked it out. Now, when I found the Sub-Zero one, some guy had contacted me, wanted it. I go, yeah, I got it, And so he was ecstatic to get it. And, I look back on a lot of stuff that I should have just kept, it was kind of like, I looked at it kind of like when I was younger, I won a lot of football and martial arts trophies and baseball trophies. And I just, at the end, I had so many of them. I'm like, what am I going to do with all these things? And I just lined them all up, took a picture, and threw them out because I had no need for them anymore, and they were taking up all this space. And so after 20 years of, saving my Mortal Kombat stuff, I'm like, nothing ever happened. I was done. All the trade shows were over with. They did CGI. They got rid of all of us. They didn't use any of us in any of the movies. I'm like, I don't need this anymore. I mean, what use do I have? The internet wasn't big. And so I just chucked it out, man. And I look back and I'm like, man, I should have just kept that a little longer. But what are you going to do,
All right, I got some more Mortal Kombat questions going into mythologies and stuff, but we do have a question in the chat here from our friend Shinox. He's asking you if any chance of you doing more convention appearances this year.
I would love to. The thing of it is with the last ones that went through, I lined myself up to do 2 of them, and then one of them I got COVID, and then the other one they canceled because of COVID. It was a weird time when they started doing the 30th anniversary convention. So I did a few of them, but then they just kind of died down after that. But I haven't heard of any more that are being done or had anyone offer me anymore. So if anybody's interested, just, you can get a hold of me through my website. That's called personaltrainersandiego.com.
Very good to know, because we actually have a gaming convention here in Syracuse called Retro Game Con. In fact, Daniel Pacina and John Parrish were there one year. We got to get you out here for that.
Yeah, I'd love to. Never been to Syracuse. I hear a lot of good things about it, though. I would really would love to.
I mean, it's more of a college sports town, but we got a few good, restaurants like Dinosaur Barbecue and a few other places. I mean, it's not the most glamorous city, but it's.
Yeah, it's like you said, college area. I really like.
Yeah. I mean, the
college
SU Orange runs everything. We finally got a huge amphitheater finally, so now we're getting like the big concerts coming to town now. So
that's cool.
It's a cool city. I'm a proud, Syracuse guy here. So
I love the East Coast. I think the East. I've done a few trips. I just went to Camden, Maine last year for a wedding. It was beautiful, and that whole area is just beautiful. I used to go to Boston every Hyannisport every summer for like 3 years in a row. One of my friends had a good family member that lived out there, and so I vacationed on the Cape, and then went all over the East Coast quite a few times, and just really enjoyed it. My wife and I did like a Salem witch tour along the whole Newport area, and just had a really good time. But I'm always been kind of partial to the East Coast. I really loved Vermont. We went to Vermont. We went through the Adirondacks there and all that stuff. So I'll definitely love to come out to a convention out on the East Coast and hang out with everybody. And
I know Ohio's got a few. I should actually mention there's some in Ohio. Like I said, we got one. Obviously, the Saratoga got a few. But definitely. Hopefully, if he gets you to the East Coast sometime. John, going into first of all, before we go any further, I just want to say a big thank you to our friend Dustin, aka MK Havoc Addict on Twitter. He kind of set this in motion, and right.
Yeah, is he?
Just want to give him a shout out. Everybody needs to follow MK Havoc Addict. He's always posting his MK collections and MK videos on Twitter. Give him a follow. He's a cool dude. Sub-Zero is his favorite character, obviously. So
he's a good guy, man.
And Dustin, if you're watching this by any chance, thank you so much for setting this in motion. So that being said,
you the man, Justin. You the man.
Yes. Mortal Kombat Mythologies. I know it was not the most popular game, but I definitely have a soft spot for it. What was it like to finally not only portray Sub-Zero, but to flesh him out, and you get to use your acting chops and stuff?
Yeah. It was. What the hard thing about doing mythologies and those acting scenes is half my face is covered. Yeah. So you got to kind of use your eyes a lot, and it was really hard because I really didn't have much acting experience at that time. And I really admired what Rich DeVizio was doing because you could see his whole face. He became that character. But me, I was pretty much covered up, and I had to do everything through my body language and my voice and in my eyes. And so it was just, the little subtleties that you can use with your mouth, your nose, and everything else, and your facial remarks, it was completely wiped out. So it was definitely a challenge, but I really enjoyed it because I just kind of tried to, take the role of the superhero stance, where, you always see them standing sideways with their arms out. So I'm thinking, okay, I gotta engulf this character from the ground up, through the way I walk, the way I stand, the way I move my head, everything. I had to make this, this character come to life. And so that was kind of how I did it. So, when you have a good actor you're playing off of, like Rich and the other people that I worked with, most of my scenes were with Rich, but then there was a guy, Mike Garvey, who played Raiden in there. He was a really good guy. He's another actor. And then there was the guy that played Shinnok. He was just another actor they cast in that position. So everybody was a good, and I think Sal DeVito was in there too. He played Scorpion in the jail cell scene.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So everybody did a good job. And when, you're only a lot of times as good as your castmate. So if you can feed off the other person, you're going to do good yourself, because that's what it's about. Acting is basically a volley. It's like you do your thing, they do their thing. And you got to take in what the other person's doing in order to have yours come out. So, it's a give and take situation. And that's when I really learned kind of how to act, was really feeling the character and feeling it in the eyes, because acting is a lot of eyes too, believe it or not. So
you did an awesome job. I want to also ask you, what was your favorite scene that you did for the game?
I think that scene with Rich and I spinning in a circle, talking about the map. I really like that one a lot, because there's a lot of funny outtakes in there. Like, he had those spikes sticking off his collar, and a couple times when he was walking around, he must have stuck in the eye with a few of those things. And then he walked into the camera a couple times. So by the end of the day, we had a lot of funny outtakes just from, working on it in a bunch of different ways. And even as just like that, he had that bag of bones. And you remember how he drops it? Mm-hmm. Where he drops it from, it would never land right, and the bones wouldn't land right. They'd bounce and go all over. So eventually we just had to kind of drop the bag from 2 inches above where the camera was, just so it would land right, because if he drops it from where he was standing, it just sprayed bones over. So I really got to see the behind the scenes of how you bring a film together, and how camera angles and how different it is when you're actually filming it. So, but that was probably my favorite scene. It was a pretty long scene, a lot of dialogue and just moving parts to it. And then a lot of funny outtakes with Leah Montalongo when she was doing Serena. And so it was just a really good time. I had a lot of fun doing it, but that's what gave me the acting bug and made me continue and do more stuff. So
that's wonderful. I'm glad Mortal Kombat launched your career. That's awesome. Now, Mortal Kombat 4, I know that was the first time they actually did, combat in 3D and whatnot. Everything was 3D rendered. But you did the mocap for Sub-Zero in that one too, right? Yeah. That was another one where I went in there. I just went in and did what they told me to do. And I also did, believe it or not, played against sports, the Madden football. I was in that. I like when you see the player get hit and all his equipment flies off, he's just standing there. That's me in there. I also did. I did one more game too. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, but I ended up doing more stuff with Midway that they needed to do, and they just approached me for another game, but it was for a pinball game, and then it just didn't work out with my schedule and stuff. So I don't even know what's going on with that game, but it's one of the guys that helped out with Mortal Kombat was doing this other game, and it would have been neat to get involved in that, but again, schedules just didn't work out and things like that. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot going on at Midway Studios in Chicago. They had basically that whole block was all Midway, and they had just all these different filming departments, and I mean, they really had a lock on everything. But then they got bought out. I think they got bought out by Disney, and Disney's the one doing not Disney, Warner Brothers. Yeah, and so Warner Brothers is doing all the movies now, which one of the gripes I had is Mortal Kombat was a game of hidden messages. If you think about it, how many hidden messages were in Mortal Kombat? If you look at Noob Saibot, it's Ed Boon backwards, right? Yeah. Or John Tobias backwards, right? And so everything in that game was kind of hidden. They should have did that with the movies and had a lot of us do cameo roles in there if they're going to use. I understand Hollywood's got their guys they want to use, but it would have been cool for the fans to see the actual old gangster game players in the movies. Like doing like a really quick fight scene or something, or being one of the guards next to the actual Sub-Zero in the movie. Hey man, that's Divisio. Or hey, there's Turk, or there's Pacina. It would have been really neat to see that, but they could have drawn in so many more fans had they had done that, but they chose not to. They'd actually used me for
a PlayStation commercial where I'm like hanging. First, I flew in to do this commercial, and they were going to have me do this big long like martial arts forms routine with all these kicks and flips and stuff. So I trained with one of the. He wasn't a Ninja Turtle. I forget what he was, but he was a really good, like they call him acrobatic martial artist. So he would compete in forms tournaments. He was really good. So he was teaching me all these forms. And for like 3 days, I mean, I was destroyed, all the flipping and jumping and kicking I was doing, trying to get this routine down for the commercial. And so for a week straight before it, I was out there training for this thing. And then when I got to set, they go, yeah, we decided to change everything. And I go, yeah, what's that? And he goes, we're just going to have you hang upside down. So I was there for a week doing all these crazy martial arts stuff. And I ended up just coming down like I was coming out of a cocoon with these funky contacts on. It's actually a pretty cool commercial, but nice. Rich was in it too. And that was the only thing.
I'm going to go have to track that one down now. I have to see this.
Yeah, you know what? I think I might have it on one of my YouTube channels. But if I don't, I'll send it to you. I think I still got it, but it was
okay.
Cool commercial, and it just was one of the things that I think they used us on. But it was PlayStation, so it wasn't even really a movie,
Yeah. We got a good question here in the chat. Shinox he asked, were you ever contacted about any other Mortal Kombat projects that ended up getting canceled or stuff that fans don't know about?
No, good question. There was talk of possibly doing another game, like not like necessarily a reunion game, but like kind of a knockoff of it, but it never really kind of materialized. It just kind of fell dead in the water. I think all of us were just years after the fact, and so
yeah, I think what it was, but then they tried to remake the first 3 games. In HD with different actors, but it got scrapped for whatever reason. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, but it was fun doing all the, like, I was supposed to do this live show with Carrie. Carrie did this live show that was like a year long, where you go out on stage and it was basically, I think, like a Mortal Kombat show, and they asked me to do it, but at the time I was a policeman and I couldn't take a year off of work, so I couldn't do it.
Oh, the live tour.
Yeah. So, I got asked to do that, but it bummed me out. I couldn't take off of work and do that for a year straight. But, I saw a lot of the stuff that she was doing, and it looked like it was a lot of fun and would have been great to do. But again, I couldn't get away for it. So at the time when I started all this acting with like Mortal Kombat, I would actually have to use like personal days or sick days to go film for a couple of days, which wasn't a big deal at the time. Yeah. But to take off like a month or a year at a time just wouldn't have happened. I would have had to quit my job, and I wasn't about to do that. So,
all right. Now we're getting close to 1 hour here on the East Coast, so I do respect everybody's time. So we'll kind of wrap up a little bit here. Nowadays, I see you have Fearless Fitness. Can you tell us about Fearless Fitness and what you do now?
Yeah. So, well, one of the things I've always been into is like health and fitness. One of the things when I was a kid growing up, I had some friends die when I was young, and it really just kind of, the whole death thing scared me. So at a young age, I started really getting into my health and taking care of myself, and that's what kind of got me into that. And then when I was wrestling when I was younger, and my neighbors were really good wrestlers, and always pretty much had their way whenever we wrestled. And a lot of it was obviously technique, but I was also kind of a skinny, scrawny kid, So I just started working out and lifting weights, and it got me better at wrestling. And then I think once I got into martial arts, I quit all the wrestling stuff just because I love martial arts so much. And so that's what got me into the exercise. And then when I became a policeman, I was one of the fitness instructors on the police department, and kind of helped out with all the fitness exams that a lot of the policemen have to go through. And so I did that. And then when I left the police department, I didn't know what I wanted to do at that point.
How long were you a cop for?
10 years. Yeah.
Wow.
So I trashed my leg working, doing it then, just fighting and rolling around with a guy, and I had to leave because I couldn't I can walk and talk and do all that stuff, but I can't fight with people per se. Just my leg will just kind of come right apart. I have no ligaments or anything in it. So I had to leave, and then I was like, wow, what am I going to do, And so that's what got me. I got my real estate license, and then I said, you know what, why don't I – one of my friends said, hey, you should be a trainer. You got a degree in exercise physiology. You got a degree in nutrition. At this point, I was on the cover of Muscle Fitness magazine, and I did all these, covers of magazines. And he said, you do really good as a trainer. And I said, let me give it a try. And it just kind of took off. So I started doing that, and it became very successful. And then I moved out to San Diego, and as you know, California is very health orientated. So I got even more successful out here, and it's just been great. I love it. I love what I do. I meet a lot of great people. A lot of them are big parts of my life now, and it's just been really fun. And the biggest thing for me is I love helping people, especially if someone's getting pain or someone needs help with a disease or something. It gives me as much joy to see them healthy again and enjoying life than just, helping myself and keeping everything a secret. I love to see people healthy and happy and doing well. So it's always a good thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do people, as a trainer, do people recognize you as Sub-Zero? Do you get people in the street that recognize you?
Yeah. The people do, actually. My wife will come out, and we'll be out, and she goes, that guy's staring at you over there. And quite a few times people come out and go, man, you look familiar, and then my wife will go, he's Sub-Zero. She's always my biggest cheerleader. She goes, he's Sub-Zero. And the guy's like, I knew I recognized you, man. Ends up being a big Mortal Kombat fan. There's a place out here I want to give a shout out to. It's called Throwback Games, GAMZ. And every now and then I like to go into the gaming places and just meet the people. I'll just walk in.
Yeah.
And I walked in, and Manny's the name of the guy. He owns it. And it kind of gives me a look when I come in. He's like looking at me, and my wife goes, I think he definitely recognized you. I go, hey, man. I said, my name's John. He goes, John Turk. I know you were Sub-Zero, So it's just kind of funny. A lot of these people, I haven't changed much since the game. I kind of look pretty much the same. I mean, I'm a lot older, but, I haven't dramatically changed too much. I mean, I got a little more wrinkles and gray hair, but I think great. People still, no, thanks, man. But, when I was the unmasked Sub-Zero, you pretty much see my face, so that's, I think, why a lot of people are able to recognize me as opposed to, this kind of thing. But yeah, it's kind of cool. And it doesn't bother me at all when people say stuff and want to, meet, get an autograph. It's, I'm blessed. I'm happy to. And it's just, it's good to meet all the fans. Honestly, I've never had a bad experience with any Mortal Kombat fan. They've all been really good to me and just all really cool. I really enjoy going to the shows and meeting everybody and just hanging out. So it's a lot of fun, and everyone's respectful, and it's just a really good day.
Yeah, I want to echo that. I'm proud to be part of this really great Mortal Kombat community, which is why we continue to bring Mortal Kombat actors and extras on the show, because I know that the Mortal Kombat people are going to show up, and they're always so cool, and really, really proud of this community because I made so many friends through this community here, not just doing NerdCage stuff, but just Mortal Kombat in general, and just all the friends I've made through Mortal Kombat throughout the years. So I'm really, really, really proud to be part of this community, and that's why, like you just said, it's one of the greatest. It's the greatest gaming community, the greatest fan base ever. There ain't,
So I got a question. I got a question for you, real quick, Jay. So when you first saw the game Mortal Kombat, what was it that drew you to it? Was there any one thing that you went, holy cow, man?
I'm so glad you asked that. I'm sure the NerdCage fans are sick of hearing this story because I've said it so many times. But so basically, I'm an OG fan. So I'm 37 now. So I was 5 when the first game came out. There was a store here in the East Coast called Hills, and they actually had the Mortal Kombat 1 arcade machine in the next to the gumball machines. And my mom's like, "Oh, here's some quarters. Go get yourself something from the gumball machine." And there was Mortal Kombat. And then I was distracted watching these two kids play Mortal Kombat, and then I wanted to play. Now the violence is what got me my attention. I was fascinated. I'm a good kid. I was a good kid, but the violence caught my attention. Okay. What kept me going all these years is the characters and the stories. It's the violence, the fantasy and the violence and the spectacle is what gets your attention, but the story is what keeps you going. But my mother, now keep in mind, my mother's very religious Mexican woman.
Yeah,
and, her reaction, I'll never forget. Her reaction was, "Oh my God, this game is awful," and she totally did not want me playing it. And again, this was uncharted territory at the time. And then Oprah happened. Oprah's on TV talking about, "Oh my God, Mortal Kombat's turning kids violent," and blah 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 blah. And my mom just leaned into that. She goes, "You're not playing that game." My dad came and goes, "Just let them play. Who cares?" And I'm like, "Thanks, Dad."
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I've been a fan since then, and I turned out
cool.
okay. But yeah, that's what it is. It's for me. What kept me going is the stories and the characters, and of course, then the movies having the TV show and so on and so forth. So I've been a fan. I've been a fan since day one.
Yeah, cool, man.
And I also want to share with you too, very personal. So I'm I thought about saying it off air, but I guess I can say it on air. So, just want to let you know. So my older sister passed away when I was 16, but one thing she loved Mortal Kombat 3. She wasn't like into Mortal Kombat like I was, but she loved Mortal Kombat 3. I remember when Mortal Kombat 3 first came out the arcade. I remember the day I rented it, and I remember the day I bought it. And I remember October 13th, 1995, I was waiting at the store to rent it. The videos, back when we had video rental places, I waited all day for them to get the copy so I could rent it, because I didn't have the money to buy it. I was only in 3rd grade. So I got to rent it. But me and my sister, we played it, and this was on a Friday, so it wasn't a school night. We played Mortal Kombat 3 all night. We teamed up. We were trying to beat it. Lo and behold, we picked your Sub-Zero, and we kept freezing Shao Kahn, running an uppercut, and running an uppercut. Shout out to Brian Glenn. But it was me and my sister beat the game with you that night. And
that's awesome.
I'll never forget that. So I wish she was here right now to enjoy this interview. But
well, you'll be with her again.
I just want you to know that like my sister and I bonded because of you, Mortal Kombat 3.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. I really appreciate you telling me that. And I'm sorry to hear about your sister, but the stories they're heartwarming. I've heard so many stories similar to what you're telling me. One guy told me that literally Mortal Kombat saved his life because he was going through a severe depression. His mother and father were constantly fighting. He was going to commit suicide. And he said, he found Mortal Kombat and he just loved it so much. He just kept playing all the time, and it helped him get away from, the abusive household he was in. So, I mean, I love hearing these stories because people don't realize there's an escapism in everything. And a lot of us have not only an escapism, but memories tied to a lot of these games that we play. And, you have these memories with your sister that you'll cherish forever. You guys had a great time playing the game, and it's just something you can hold on to when you think back, I love hearing it. So thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, I'm really glad I got to share that with you and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, Mortal Kombat 3, I know Joe, my co-host, who couldn't make Mortal Kombat Trilogy is his favorite Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
so
yeah, that's a good
one.
one.
Just want to let you know, so you played a pivotal role in what gravitated us to Sub-Zero and Mortal Kombat. So I just want you to know that.
Thank you.
Also, before we wrap up here, by the way, guys, the bar's closing. Last call, guys. If you guys, people in the chat, got questions for John, now's your last chance. But getting away from Mortal Kombat for a second, because I'm a health nut now too. I go to the gym every day, and this and that.
Yeah.
What I just want to hear from you, what's your recommended diet? What's your recommended protein or anything? What's the proper amount of cardio? I just want to hear some health tips from you.
Yeah.
As far as bodybuilding goes.
No, I get you. I mean, a lot of people ask me these types of questions, but the first thing in order for me to answer that is I have to know what your goals are, what you want to achieve. And it might be an athletic goal. It might be a cosmetic goal, like you want to be a certain look. It might be you want to be certain strength. And each one of these goals has a different type of diet or how you should eat. Like some people say, I want to do a triathlon, or I want to do an Ironman. I'm going to have them eat completely different than I'm going to have a power lifter eat or a bodybuilder eat, So it all depends on what your goals are. So what I usually generally tell people is, you know, the most important thing you can do, and this goes for any sport, is you got to get good proteins in there, a good variety of them. Yeah. And you got to eat at least your body weight in grams of protein, because your body turns over all your hormones, all your enzymes in your body are proteins. And I'm not a big fan of the whole fasting thing, although I think these diets have a place. I believe all the fasting diets are for healing. So that's why I think they're good. But if you're trying to lose weight, it's not the best thing, because you'll end up damaging your metabolism. I did a 3-day fast, and for 6 months, I just couldn't get weight off of me. It was just, you know, it actually made me fatter. So I don't recommend it unless you have like a stomach problem, or, you know, you got some kind of joint problem, you're trying to get rid of inflammation. They're great for that. But if you're trying to lose weight, a lot of people are doing this intermittent fasting. It will work for some, but for the majority of people, I found it doesn't work. But it's great if you have like Crohn's disease, or you have some kind of stomach problem where you're trying to heal yourself. So for me, I just believe in a really good balanced diet, and it's eating protein with every meal. My diet is basically, now again, this is me, but I eat 40% carbs, 40% protein, and 20% fat. All my fats come from, you know, usually polyunsaturated fats, or some saturated fats. I don't eat a ton of saturated fats, like red meat probably once a week, but I eat a lot of like sweet potatoes, a lot of what's called basmati rice. I eat a lot. So my dad's from the Middle East, so I love like bulgur and things like that, and certain meats, feta cheese, tomatoes. So, I mean, my diet's very Mediterranean, so to speak. So I just think that's the healthiest diet. It's great for your heart. It's great for your skin, your hair, your nails, your joints. Olives are fantastic for you, so I eat a lot of olive oil. But for you, if you want to get in shape, people will say you don't have to count calories. There's truth to that in a small extent. But if you want to watch, if you're tell me that I don't have to count calories, and I'm someone who likes to eat a lot, I can put a lot of weight on if you're telling me I don't need to count calories. So I think there comes a point, if you want to be a certain look and a certain body fat percentage and aesthetic, you have to count your calories. You do. And I don't necessarily count calories, so to speak. I count my macros. I always make sure I get my protein. I always make sure I get my carbs. And your fats I eat such a low amount of fats, they just kind of fall in line. And so if you're that kind of guy, you know what's a really good thing for you to do is take the blood type test and find out what your blood type is, and then go online and say eating for your blood type and look at that. And I found that a lot of people, whatever it says to do for that diet, a lot of people do tend to lean whatever way that program says to eat. So for me, it's I'm good with vegetables and meats, which is exactly what I am. You know, I'm not good with a lot of fats. I'm not good with a real heavy carb diet. But you might want to take a look at that. That's been something that might work for my wife, myself, and quite a few people that I know as well. So you get your blood type. It's called the blood type diet, I think. And it's free. It's online. You download it, and it'll just give you a rough idea of how you should eat. So, you know, health is everything. It's like,
yeah, I mean, I'm at the gym every day. It's just the hardest part is just eating right's the hardest part. But I'm at the gym every day.
Yeah.
So
what's your goal when you're at the gym? Are you trying to get bigger or stronger?
Mainly stronger. I'm not too worried about myself. If anything, I'm trying to shred and get my abs back. But I'm doing pretty good. You know, I do my I do 20 minutes. I do like 20 minutes of cardio. So I do the stair machine. I do the ropes. Then I do the ab machine. And then I'm always I'm doing pretty good. Like I weigh 182 and I can bench well over 300. So I'm doing pretty good.
That's good.
I just want to get my abs back, and I'll be satisfied. But I'm
don't do super hard cardio.
What's that?
Don't do really hard cardio. Do like real moderate to low cardio, because you want to burn fat. And if you do really hard cardio, all it does is it burns muscle actually, and it increases your appetite. So for me, when I did like the Cover Muscle Fitness and I did all that fitness modeling for years, my cardio basically was walking on the treadmill for 45 minutes. I would walk at 2.9 to 3 miles an hour, which isn't much. And I would walk at a 2-degree incline to simulate the pavement. And I would do that for 45 minutes to an hour. That way your body burns fat. It's not burning, mostly muscle that you burn when you do really hard cardio. Because once you get into what's called the anaerobic state, and then you come back down like high intensity interval training, you're really burning up a lot of glucose or glycogen, and a lot of that's stored in your muscles. And so you're kind of deflating your muscles by doing that really hard cardio. So if you really want to get your abs back, just clean the diet up a little bit and walk. Don't do really super hard cardio. Walk for like 45
Good
minutes.
to know, and I'd rather walk than do the super hard cardio. So thank you for that tip. I do have a question here. My friend, by the way, everybody needs to subscribe to Fist Vegas Blue. He's a friend of mine. I already know the answer to this, but John, definitely I'll have you answer this one here. So he just asked if after doing Mortal Kombat, did you get any lifetime of free MK games or any kind of crazy royalties or anything like that?
No royalties. We were all buyouts on Mortal Kombat, which was fine with me. Royalties obviously would have been more money, but at the time I was new to it. I didn't know anything, and the buyouts were great. I think all of us did buyouts. And as far as games, whenever we'd go to trade shows, we'd always get games. They would give us stuff, and if stuff was left over, so I had a lot of that stuff left over that I ended up, selling or giving away, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I don't have any royalties coming in for any of that stuff. That was all. The thing is too, when you got a company like Midway that was owning it at the time, there, a lot of those companies are pretty hardcore, and they're going to go, and if you're not going along with the monetary demands, they're going to, there's a lot of people in the world that could have probably played Sub-Zero instead of me. I kind of really enjoyed it, and I was looking forward to it. So it paid really well when I was doing it, and I just didn't have any complaints. I was taken care of very well, and I don't get royalties, but no big deal to me. I got this, this legacy of Mortal Kombat and Sub-Zero that, has followed me since the, early 90s, and I've really enjoyed it. So I'm thankful for it. I've made money other ways through the trade shows, selling pictures here and there. And so, I'm happy where I'm at with that. So I think that was kind of one of the things that some of the other actors had issues with and caused problems. Yeah. But it's just, it is what it is. And I just kind of fell in line with the corporate agreement,
Oh yeah, I know. I hear you there.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we'll wrap up here real quick. Just want again, John, I just want to thank you for your time again. This has been actually, hold on. We got another question here from Fist Vegas.
Sure, yeah.
He says, "Hey, John, what should I eat for breakfast? It's the only meal I struggle with. I'm trying to add muscle and shred my gut."
So the question you might want to ask him is, what is he eating right now? If he had name two of the meals he's eating, I could tell him which one to keep eating and what he can add. So what is he eating right now for breakfast would be the first question.
Okay, yeah. Well, while we wait for Fist to answer that part of the question,
I'll give you what he should eat.
Yeah.
The best
John,
thing
we'll
to
put
do.
you on the spot real quick. I asked this question to all of our guests, but that being said, John, would you like to come back on NerdCage Live sometime?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
No, we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And just real quick, everybody, just some stuff to promote real quick, guys. We're going to be continuing the Mortal Kombat 9 Challenge Tower this weekend, likely on Saturday, and hopefully we can wrap it up on Tuesday. And then the following Tuesdays, we're going to be continuing X-Men Legends. This is twitch.tv/NerdCage Live, also on youtube.com/NerdCage Live Gaming. And of course, next weekend, we're going to start our campaign in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for the Switch. So be sure to tune in for that. And it looks like we got our question from Fister. He says he eats salmon or fish with broccoli for 3 meals, and breakfast I eat a TV dinner with 31 grams protein.
Well, I would get rid of the TV dinner, but one of the things I really loved a lot in the morning, because it's easy on the stomach, it's warm, it tastes good, is I would take one of the things you really got to start looking out for is your joints. And so what I do is I make this breakfast. It's oatmeal. I get, the cooked oatmeal, and I put 3 packs of stevia in it, and I take gelatin, which is like Knox gelatin. You'll see it in the store. It's what they make Jell-O from, but it's really good for your joints. It's got cartilage in it that helps promote joint health. So with all the lifting we do, it's really good to have something like that. So I add the Knox gelatin, it's powder, to my oatmeal. This is before I put the water in it. So I got the oatmeal, the stevia, the Knox gelatin, and then I add hot, it's called cacao, CACAO. They're finding in studies that it helps your body produce stem cells, which help you grow and repair and utilize all your healing properties. So this cacao stuff is tremendous for that. So I put a half a scoop of that, or basically a tablespoon, into my oatmeal. And then I also put creatine in there. You should take creatine. It's really good stuff. And then I take, I also add, what's the last? Oh, I put whey protein in there. So I like this brand called Jarrow, and it's French vanilla, and I put a scoop and a half in there, so it's like 30 grams of protein. And then I put a little bit of goat milk. Goat milk's actually easier to digest and has really good properties in it. And then I just take hot water and I cook it up, and it makes this really good consistency. It makes it even more paste, like a paste, because of the gelatin in it. And man, it'll really power you through the morning. And it's, again, great for your joints. I would start really looking out for your joints. Make sure you're taking fish oil, gelatin, stuff like that. So what I also do too is I eat bone broth. You could have bone broth. So what I do in the morning is I take a cup of bone broth too once in a while, and I heat it up like I would a cup of coffee, and I sip on that, and I put three quarters bone broth and then a quarter of soup stock. And bone broth is phenomenal for your joints. It's got a lot of protein in it, and it's got what's also glucosamine, which is huge for your joints. So that would be another thing I would consider doing. I like warm stuff in the morning, not real cold. So the oatmeal, the bone broth, these are things that a lot of people don't really think about, but they just add and really kick up your nutrition a notch.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the health tip. See, you guys, now that you get the geek knowledge, you get the health and fitness knowledge too. So definitely appreciate that.
My website, a little plug. There's some good tabs on there you can go to. There's called Fitness Nutrition Tips on my website. You'll see it at the top. But you go to personaltrainersandiego.com. It's all run together. Personaltrainersandiego.com. And when you get to the top of the page, just go to the nutrition part, and you'll see nutrition fitness tips. Click on that. And it's a whole list of how you should eat. Really good ways to, take care of yourself. There's some really good calculators on my site too. Like if you want to predict your 1 rep maximum on any exercise or the bench, it's got a calculator for your heart rate. If you're doing cardio, like you want to be in a certain zone, it'll tell you what you're burning mostly in that zone. And just a bunch of other real good little tools on there. And then if you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram handle is Sub-Zero Unmasked. So it's let me pull it up there. Just
I'll put all that in the description of the video, everyone. And by the way, Fist Vegas says thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. All of John's links are going to be in the description, and I'll add the personal trainer San Diego in there as well. But John, this has been a real honor. We definitely appreciate your time. This has been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to chop it up with you again. We'll definitely be in touch for sure. And again, thanks very much. And before we go, John, do you have a message for the Mortal Kombat fans in NerdCage Nation?
Hey, man, I just want to thank you guys a lot for supporting the game, supporting all of us, and showing up, and just all being very respectful and kind and generous. And blessings to all you guys, good health, wellness, prosperity, and all that stuff. And keep exercising, man. You got to live a long, happy, healthy life.
Amen. And to everybody in the chat, Lone Wolf Productions, Shinox, Choose Your Destiny, Fist Vegas, Doomzilla, everybody who stopped in today, all the lurkers, thank you so much for being here on NerdCage Live. Again, Season 5 is in full swing. We have more guests to announce. We got another show for you guys next week. We're going to be doing the most anticipated movies of 2024 next week. And it'll be me, Joe, Sean Wick, and Tyler from Joe Blow Media. So be there for that next Thursday. Again, me and Joe will be on Twitch this weekend playing Mortal Kombat 9 Challenge Tower. And a lot more to come, guys. We have a lot more to announce. I just can't do it right now, but I have a lot more to announce for you guys. So thank you so much, everybody, for your ongoing support. And, of course, thank you to Mr. John Turk for taking the time off our schedule, his schedule to be here tonight, and we can't wait to have him back on. So that being said, everybody, we please ask you to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, and spread that shit like Shao Kahn's empire. So to you I say, from yours truly, Syracuse, New York, San Diego, California, to all of our friends, fans around the world at NerdCage Live and Fearless Fitness. As always, enjoy life, stay safe, eat your vegetables, do your push-ups, go to the gym, all that good stuff. And have a blessed evening, everybody. Good night. And stick around for our awesome promos. Good night, everybody.
NerdCage Live and gaming are a perfect match.
Shoot the J, Joe.
Okay.
Shoot it!
All right.
Over on NerdCage Live on Twitch, Jay and Joe go live.
Call me Bazooka Joe. It's all about you.
Kaboom! Playing both old school and new school games every Tuesday night. Ooh, what a sight!
Jay, stop looking at her face and run.
But she's so beautiful.
So be sure to follow NerdCage Live on Twitch.
Run for your life, Joe. Run for your life, Joe.
Running.
Run faster. Oh no, Joe, the galaxy's doomed because of you.
To scratch your gaming itch.
Oh, nice kick, Joe.
Thank you.
Yo, that's diabolical. Wait. Yo!
That's twitch.tv/NerdCage Live.
Ooh, trying to get out of the nerd cage, are ya? Well, before you go, hit that subscribe button. And if you're really intrigued, ring that bell. Thank you for dropping by. Until next time, tell everyone you know about NerdCage Live!